this case is my brand new keyboard. At least it will be once it's all built. So I'm doing a gaming setup here in the not too distant future, and I figured a custom keyboard would be a great way to spice that up. So this is the Cyberboard R3. Not only does it come in a really cool case, but judging by the fact that it says inspired by Tesla Cybertruck, it's going to have some weird angles, it'll be really metal, and that's kind of the gist of what I'm trying to make this build about. I want to make this the all-metal keyboard. It is a chunky boy, look at that.
That's a thick ass boy!
So it has a lot of sharp angles like the Cybertruck does, but probably the best party trick that it has overall is this long LED display on the back. I got this keyboard, I think like a year or two ago, and pre-ordered it even longer than that. So going along with this all-metal build is another thing that I got that took a long time to get here. Yes, this is a case just for the keycaps, but the idea here is that all of the keys are metal. Like literally, they're all metal, like it's all metal. The letters, the modifiers, everything is metal and shiny, and I think it'll go well with our white Cyberboard. Look at that. So this is gonna sound super solid, but of course, it doesn't just stop with the caps and the board itself. We got to talk about the switches. These are the Zeal Clickiez, specifically the 75-gram model. Those are some clicks. They are meaty clicks, and I think paired with this board and the aluminum plate, I think this should sound pretty solid.
3 days later.
All right, there's nothing for it. Let's just dive in and get our hands dirty. So a few minutes in, for someone that hasn't built many keyboards in the past, this one's pretty simple to work on. All I had to do was remove some screws, undo some ribbon cables, and get to the bare PCB to install my stabilizers, which were also pre-prepped, which is very nice. From there, I installed all my switches, buttoned everything up, put my keycaps in, and then voila, it's done. All right, so my custom all-metal keyboard is finally complete. I've been using it for a few days here in the office as my daily driver, typing up plenty of scripts and planning documents for the next couple of weeks of videos here on Denki. Subscribe. So here are some of my key takeaways I've collected in the time I spent with this build. First, on the aesthetics, I like the Cyberboard a lot. I could care less about the inspiration it draws from Tesla's Cybertruck, but the angles certainly work better here with the keyboard than it does for a vehicle. It almost kind of looks like a typewriter. While the profile's a bit chunky for a 75% keyboard, it does a fair bit to justify its extra footprint. There's obviously enough space to house the components behind its distinct 5x40 LED array, but it also totes a 5,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery, which allows this keyboard to operate over Bluetooth. I can't speak for how long it'll actually last on that since I mainly used it wired, but I've read that it's good for about 30 to 40 hours combined usage with all of the lights on. However, what matters most with this Cyberboard is how it feels to type on, and it's an absolute treat. Oh, it did. Yeah. Wow.
Did you run out of battery?
No, there's a standby function. That is really funny how that happened. The keys are presented at a 10% angle, which is very comfy to type on. Granted, you provide your own wrist rest since it doesn't come with one. The Cyberboard is also very heavy, constructed with plenty of metal, and has a good old aluminum plate sandwiched between your switches and the foam dampened PCB to feel incredibly solid and premium. But the case is only part of the story. To get the whole picture, let's talk about the components that make up this all-metal build. When the idea for an all-metal keyboard originally came to mind, I wanted it to be a meme. So when a few of my keyboard enthusiast friends decided to help me drum up a shopping list, boy did they understand the assignment. The Cyberboard R3 in cloud white was $620 for the case alone. Add on the Olivia keycaps, which are all aluminum, for $350 on group buy, and $130 for all of our clicky switches, and also $15 for our stabs, bringing our total to over $1,100, not including shipping and taxes. Yeah?
Is it even good?
You bought it. I'm afraid he's behind me. He's gonna like stab me. Again, I made this for your... Yes. In all seriousness though, you know what's messed up about this entire thing? It's that I unironically love this keyboard. It hits the senses in ways I never knew I wanted in day-to-day typing. The Olivia keycaps feel smooth, premium, and weighty, which is amplified by the heavy 75-gram actuation of our Clickiez switches.
Every day you use this, Luke has to use a $10 membrane keyboard.
Yes, you know what? Fine, challenge accepted, because he actually does type on a membrane keyboard.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. You've taken one for the team already. I'm not even kidding though, these switches are heavy. 75 grams is no joke. I typed this whole entire script with this keyboard and I was feeling it by the end. Granted, absolutely worth it considering how good it sounds and feels to type on.
I also like to pay $1,800 for carpal tunnel.
I paid worse for worse, my friends.
We know what you do in Japan.
You can definitely feel some fatigue typing up long-winded documents. However, the sharp bump on keystrokes is addicting enough to forego the weight. Then there's the sound to back it up.
I mean, I think you just should have bought a typewriter.
Challenge? Is that a challenge?
We bought an all-metal typewriter.
I would hope to God. Since this board is all about embracing the metal, I kept our Clickiez stock in hopes that it would retain some of the pings and springy noises on top of its distinctly meaty clicks.
You're so effusive about keyboards. They go
I know!
click, clack,
It's like wine.
What kind of notes are you getting, Ken?
We're getting some of the fruity notes.
Looks like you're doing a bump of coke off the keyboard.
That's what Elon does on the truck. You especially hear it in the spacebar, which sounds kind of like you got a headshot in COD. But there's a level of control here, especially with the foam damping, that keeps the reverb to a minimum. Put simply, it's very tactile and satisfying to type on. And then there's the looks. There's a bit of airiness to this white, silver, rose gold, and black color scheme. And the accompanying light show sourced by a member from the Cyberboard community adds a bit of that techie vibe that makes this case distinct and unique.
None of these words sound
Dude,
good.
on this-
Clicks, deep thunks,
Thocks.
thoughts.
Austin, bad word.
Spell it for me.
T-H-O-C-K. Thock.
Thoughts.
Thock. Thock. Yeah, it's thocky.
All the keyboard dudes are thoughts.
The all-metal keyboard, for me, is kind of like the Lexus LFA of keyboards. An insane curiosity experiment beyond making any fiscal sense that somehow ended up being one of the best things that I've ever built. And now it lives on my desk, because I called dibs.
I don't think anyone's fighting you for it. Literally no one wants this thing. Why are you like massaging this board, dude?
It sounds so good. It called me baby. Ew. Not during work hours.